2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today, myself and Boris, we are going to go on about a film that was filmed in 2012, and it was directed by, Lorene Scafaria, or Lorene Scafaria, or I don't know how to say her name, but this was her feature directorial debut, which means her first feature film.
Oh, wow.
And the film stars Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. And according to IMDb as well as Wikipedia, it was a film that had mixed reviews from critics, and it was a box office bomb. And now, before ladies and gentlemen, we go any further, this is a discussion, not a review, and there are definitely going to be some spoilers ahead.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If you don't know us by now, we are probably going to spoil the shit out of this movie. So turn back now if I were you. But I definitely will see. Well, let's see if I can find out what IMDb tells us about this film. IMDb. Okay. And as soon as I put seeking into the search engine, it pulls it up right away. Seeking. Okay, so as an asteroid nears Earth, a man finds himself alone after his wife leaves in a panic. He decides to take a road trip, to reunite with his high school sweetheart. Accompanying him is a neighbor who inadvertently puts a wrench in his plan. And just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, here is my copy. Came with this nice little slip sleeve. And guess how much I paid for it?
Oh, well, it's a Blu-ray, so I would normally guess it's probably a bit expensive unless you got some extraordinary good deal or something.
Well, it just so happened to show up at Dollar Tree for $1. So,
Oh, wow.
I picked it up for $1, and let me tell you something. For romantic comedies or romantic films, it's actually become one of my favorites. So, as far as girly films, although this one isn't entirely that girly, it's actually kind of morose, ain't it?
Well, actually, one thing I found interesting about it is that if you're watching it for the first time, you might actually get an impression of it being a more light-hearted movie and so on. But when you're seeing it for a second time, when you know how it's going to end, then you're realizing how dark it actually is.
So, it wasn't your first time watching this film this time, but
Uh,
after watching it the first time, what was your reaction, or what was your first impressions of the film?
well,
Did,
I was.
did it surprise you?
Yes, it did. Well, you already said spoiler alert, but yeah, now I'm actually going to give the biggest spoiler of the movie. What really shocked me was the movie ending the way it did, because usually movies about the end of the world end with the world being saved somehow against all expectations, but this one actually ended with the world being destroyed as predicted at the beginning, which was, wow, pretty shocking and kind of depressing.
Indeed. I mean, my first time seeing this, and I'm coming at this from a perspective is I'm not a fan of Steve Carell. In fact, I think he's kind of a drama queen, or shall I say, a prima donna, uh, as, as far as male actors go. And I have to say, this is like, or was his first real serious film. I mean, it still had some comedy, but it was more of a dark comedy, so to speak,
Mm,
because of how the setting. I mean, obviously, well, my first reaction to this film was kind of a wow moment. I watched this on my own, and then I turned and watched it with my fiance because it was kind of like a wow moment at the end. You know,
yeah.
the first time you see it, it's like holy shit, they went there.
Indeed, I actually sat through all the credits. I expected maybe there would be some post-credit scene where we find out that it didn't really end that way, but no, nothing.
No, so um, so let's look at the plot here. So in the very beginning, Steve Carell, he plays. Let's see what his character it goes by the name of Dodge, and we see him evidently in a traffic kind of a situation, and they're listening to this whole evidently uh, uh, a spaceship that was trying to prevent this asteroid from hitting Earth. Evidently, was destroyed, and all hope was lost for the world, and evidently this made his wife walk away from him, and we find out that Dodge is an insurance salesman, and he has some goofy friends, and ultimately we find that he has a goofy neighbor as well, who ends up going on this journey with him, uh, partially because she kind of held on to his mail for 3 months or 6 months or 3 years or whatever, and um, they kind of go on a sojourn. She wants to go get to see her parents, and he just so happens to know someone with a plane. So they get out of the city. The riots that start of this are kind of reminiscent of some of the riots you see here in the states.
Oh, I'm sorry
but
to hear that.
in any case, what do you think about Dodge as a character?
Well, I think he was a pretty good character, and I was a bit surprised when a major part of the movie was about him trying to find this girl he liked back in high school, Olivia, and I kind of expected there would be something about that. So I was really surprised when he eventually gave up on that goal and decided to stay with Penny and so on. But yeah, I would say he was good, and I like the fact that he seems to be all about how he feels about them, which is something I think we, well, maybe not we, but many people in the modern world lack that, in my opinion.
That's for sure. Sure. I mean, not everyone would tell you what exactly what's on your mind at any given point in time, and I think because of the timing that the world is obviously ending around all around them, and um, all the while they're trying to get to where they need to be, and um, I think the one of my interesting aspects of this is that is some of the build up to the end of the world kind of a thing where I mean some of it is kind of funny because he's in an office kind of a setting, and if you know anything about Steve Carell, he was in a series for quite some time called The Office.
Oh, I heard of that series. I haven't watched it, so I didn't know he was in it.
Yeah. So he had that hanging on over his head there. So seeing him in an office type setting is not a new thing for me. And there's this moment where evidently there's this guy. He looks like he was the fucking janitor for the place, and he's stating that well, there are a few new positions that have been have opened up as of recently. Who wants to be the CLF or the lead financial uh, executor or whatever, and there's this lady that's crying in the background every single time he mentions someone has left the office or this and that, and she's just blubbering in the background, or I don't know. Did you see that part?
Yeah. Well, I actually remember
Did you
only
see that
one
part?
moment. Yes. I'm sorry. Are we having a connection issue? I'm having some sound glitches. Do you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Hello.
Can you still hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I did see that part, and but I remember only one moment of her crying when they mentioned that someone had left the office. There wasn't further word about it, but I kind of got the impression that maybe that person who they said had left the office had maybe passed away or something, and that maybe that was why she reacted that way.
Well, it was the whole situation. The world's ending. She might even be alone. So she was crying. First, because the world is ending. Secondly, because
Uh,
several job openings have opened up. Thirdly, maybe the person that was just mentioned, maybe she was having an affair with the guy. Who knows? It was kind of offhand. See, this is the kind of humor that is more like awkward humor to me, because in a sense you could laugh at it, but you can only be go like, and then you think about the end of the world situation and be like, "Aw, she might actually be alone," you know. But
so, well, yeah, actually, maybe, in my opinion, the scene maybe wouldn't even be funny at all if her crying didn't sound a bit unnatural and unrealistic. But
and
aside of that,
the guy right next to Dodge is saying life has no meaning anymore.
yeah,
So, so you get a sense that these people are starting to realize that this is it, we're fucked, you know.
yeah.
And uh, right after that is when Dodge is sitting at home and he's watching the news, and he's talking to the one lady newscaster where she's supposedly reporting traffic, and he's like, well, such and such, how is it over there? Well, Bob, we're fucked.
Oh yeah.
So it's obvious that they're setting this up, this whole background that you know. Um, I think all the last air flights were being announced, and the last air flight was canceled. And around about this time is when Keira Knightley, her character Penny, shows up on his fire escape, crying. And so, what do you think about the character of Penny?
Well, actually, I have to say I have a bit of mixed feelings about that character because, I mean, if that was a real life situation, what she did with Dodge's mail, it actually really left some impact on his life. I mean, if she had given him his mail on time, who knows what would have happened. Maybe he would have maybe he would have met Olivia again and ended up together with her. So actually, I think she actually kind of did some damage to that guy, which well, apparently it was underplayed in the end because he ended up falling in love with her. But if it wasn't for that, what she did would be rather serious, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, Penny shows up. She's evidently just had a breakup or whatnot, and he's just sitting at home trying to think of what he's going to do for the remainder of this time that he has on this earth. And he interrupts her crying. Evidently, she hugs him and tells him all her woes, and he invites her in. She sleeps and sleeps and sleeps some more. As eventually she wakes up, evidently a day and a half later, um, and
Yeah,
he ends up taking her down to the apartment that she lives in, and that's when she gives him the mail. Evidently, the mail that the mailman had mistakenly put in hers and not his. And well, she wasn't thinking nothing of it, and I guess she was so involved with her world that she had not bothered to give him the mail. And finally, she has a moment to give him his mail, and in that mail, he finds a letter from his old girlfriend, high school girlfriend, which apparently she was the one named Olivia. And like you said, you thought that there was something going to be eventually dealing with her. Well,
yeah.
that was not the case. It ended up being more about the journey that he had with this impetuous, annoying neighbor of his.
Well,
And
I didn't find her so annoying. She was a pretty fun character, actually. It's just this thing with mail that I think, if that was a real life situation, that would have been a bit of a more serious issue than they portrayed in the movie. But other than that, she was fine.
I was speaking from like Dodge's point of view. I mean, at first she seemed like she could be an annoying character. I mean, he was a kind of a reclusive man, obviously, especially since his wife left. And we don't know how much time. Uh, oh, probably 2 days ago or so from this. So he's still reeling from his wife having left him, and then she also uh, mentions evidently the affair that his wife had evidently had, because she was like, well, Penny, she was like,
Yes.
oh, I I ran into your roommate a couple of times, and I remember her boyfriend.
Yeah,
So
that
that
reveals.
kind of that kind of made him go up and kind of get rid of all her clothes and shit like that. So it's like everything in his life just took a total nosedive. And then he goes over to his friend's place. I don't know whether it was before this or after this, but his friend and his wife. What did you think about those characters that
Oh,
he met at that end of the world party?
oh, those were pretty funny, actually. I liked that scene. And yeah, as you mentioned, while we were watching the movie, that scene kind of shows how if the world really was ending, people would start expressing themselves more freely, more openly than they do in
They just would stop caring about what they said to each other. So to me, seeing that family together, it's like, oh, well, that's an Armageddon family.
Yeah, they would made some references like that in the
Fuck
conversation.
yourself.
Yeah.
Stop ruining my life. And then, of course, it's kind of funny how she ends up setting him up with this this woman who ends up like showing up at the party where she has donned every single piece of jewelry that she ever owned in her life.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of funny because Dodge's friend mentions that this isn't the Ark, this is the fucking Titanic.
Yeah, that reminded me of some joke I read a while ago.
Except we have no lifeboats, and that's it. We're it. We're going down. We're going down, baby. So. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, I can't remember exactly how the joke started, which is a shame now that I'm telling it, but I remember it mentioned something. Remember that Titanic was built by professionals and Noah's Ark by amateurs.
Right. So, but in any case, in this little scene, though, we get to see a character that we saw in the remake of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, where evidently he's a character that plays the eBay or Eharmony, the Eharmony dude who was trying to fill Walter Mitty's about me section, and then eventually he calls him up while he's in San Francisco to get him out of jail. So
yeah,
because evidently they think he's brought back some kind of contraband. But in any case, he's basically saying, "Oh, let's try to double bang this chick over here. Let's double stuff this cookie." But he's not having any of that, so he goes and hides in the bathroom. And his best friend's wife comes onto him while he's in the tub, and he's like, "Whoa! Wait a minute! I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Aren't you Doug's?" And he's like, "Nobody's anybody's anybody anymore." Why does and she mentions his wife get to run away? Why does everybody else get to have any fun? So you get a sense of despair from and loneliness from some of the people around him, and ultimately he ends up going on well, evidently some riots end up showing up outside the apartment building. So he thinks to go down and grab Penny. Well, Penny's boyfriend is kind of an added person, and he didn't realize that he was there. But he tells them both to come with him now. uh, and there's a moment to scramble around about the car. What do you think about that whole scenario there? The fact that he thought a Penny and whatnot, and decided decided to go find her car and the whole shebang there. What do you think about what he
Well,
did?
it was a bit funny at the beginning because at that point Dodge wasn't really trying anything with Penny, and this guy confronted him about being Penny's potential lover, and Dodge is like, "Ah, what the fuck? What did I do now?" And yeah, and then the whole thing with the car during that scene while they were running and so on. Yeah, we found out what kind of person Owen was. He didn't get the point that Penny was trying to make about them not really functioning as a couple, but in the end, I felt a bit sorry for him after all when they left him like that. I mean, those other people who were there, they could have killed him. We actually didn't even get to see what happened with him after that.
I don't know. I don't really care about the schmuck. He kind of it just came off as like a person who just didn't get it. The boyfriend that just wouldn't leave. The guy who just didn't get the idea to shove off. You know.
Well, yeah, yeah, but that doesn't mean he deserves to get killed.
I don't know. He was annoying. He was kind of they were. I mean, the people were riding in the background, and he was arguing with her, and he was more concerned with the frickin' nuzzling with each other overnight that he couldn't see what was happening around him. I think he kind of deserved his death.
Oh my.
But that's okay. That's why it's cool to have different opinions. So
Well, I
I
guess
didn't
one
really.
would.
You don't have to feel the same way I do. I just think it kind of, kind of deserved what happened to him. I mean, if he couldn't see in front of his fucking face that the world is fucking ending, uh, exactly how much do you want me to feel sorry for the guy? You know, I mean, it's a dog eat dog world out there. Survival of the fittest when it comes to it. I mean, if the world was ending and you found a way over to the states and I had a room, I swear to God, I would probably shelter you from the storm. But if you argue with me constantly along the way, fuck you. You're in the ditch, and I'm going to go my separate way, motherfucker. You know. Uh, so that being said, Dodge pretty much in the car said, "I know a guy who has a plane. I can get you to your folks. Do you want to go?" And so she stepped on the gas and went. And then of course they ran out of gas. What do you think about that moment when they ran out of gas? We're walking down. Oh, and they ended up picking up this puppy, which they named Sorry.
Oh, yeah, wait, the puppy was a little earlier, I think,
Yep.
when he
He
was
opened up
out.
the door. He opened up the door, and there was this dog sitting on his doorstep.
Uh, Wait, didn't the dog appear when he went out and drank
Right,
this
the fire
detergent
escape.
and
The
tried to
fire
commit?
escape, right?
Yeah, I think I
Yeah, he was
remember.
outside the window.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, I think he was outside the window on the fire escape.
Maybe. Uh,
Or he opened up the door, and there he was, and he was like, You know what? I'm giving you a home.
Uh,
So, so it wasn't just Penny that he had picked up. It was the dog and the dog and Penny, and they ended up running out of gas. And I think this is at the point where you kind of see some of her cuteness, Keira Knightley's cuteness come in, because um, he makes her feel feel guilty for holding on to the mail, and you could see her mentality of youth, um,
oh
uh,
yeah.
in the fact that she can never really deal with the consequence of her actions sometimes, you know.
Yeah, she said something like guilt is an emotion I don't feel comfortable with, something like that.
And I like how she says, I'm not a thing, I'm an optimist," or what was
Um, yeah, like she thought the world wasn't going to end after all.
correct. I thought you weren't pessimistic. I'm not pessimistic, I'm an optimist.
Yeah, yeah, and if you're watching the movie for the first time, you would. I'm
and then later
sorry.
and then later he said, "I thought you were cynical," and she said, "I'm not cynical, I'm clinical."
Oh, oh yeah, that was a good play on words.
Oh yeah. I liked her look at life, at least a little bit. And they end up running down a guy who evidently has a truck, who has shovels in the back, and that guy, the guy who played him, I believe his name is William Peterson, and he played in the original film, dealing with Hannibal Lecter, um,
Ooh.
called Manhunter, from back in the day. And I like him as a character actor. He's definitely an interesting character, but he ends up thinking that ultimately, um, Dodge is like his hitman, because
Oh,
evidently he found out that he had cancer, and had only 6 months to live, and so he decided to hire a man to kill himself. Little did he know that the world was going to end in a couple of days, anyways. But
mm. Eh,
what do you think about that whole situation that this man seems to have involved with these two?
well, it was quite bizarre, and I would even say a little confusing the first time I saw it. Like, poor Dodge, he gets misunderstood a lot throughout this story. And
Well, yeah, he goes out and he says, "I'm going to go take a leak. You want to come with me?" And he's like, "No."
eh,
And he backwards at him. He's a fucking weirdo.
yeah, well, yeah, I guess I would also be weirded out if someone was implying that I'm trying to kill them.
Did you expect him to get shot?
No, no, the first time I was watching it, I didn't expect that. When
Let me
he,
guess. Let me guess. The first time you were like Spando.
oh, you mean Spudao?
Spoodow, yeah.
Uh, Actually, no, that wasn't one of those scenes when I said Spudao. I usually say that when something accidentally gets broken, like a glass or something. Well, That's another joke I told you while we were while we were watching the movie. I don't know if our audience knows what it means, but I don't know if you have enough time for me to
We have
explain
enough
it.
time for you to explain. Go ahead.
Uh,
Evidently, there is this commentary that Boris used to watch. What was
uh,
the name of that channel?
the channel is named Super Bowl Bros, or at least that's what it was named back then. Maybe it has a different name now, I'm not sure, but it's a channel run by Danebo, the author of The Annoying Orange, which is
Super,
a
super, super.
Super Bowl
Okay,
Bros.
so Super Bro Bros.
Super Bowl
Okay,
Bros. Yeah, so it
okay.
was run by this guy, Danebo, who makes The Annoying Orange and his brother Luke. And they were playing video games and filming the screen while playing and commenting on what they were playing. So Dave was playing a game called Plants vs. Zombies, and I'm not sure if people are familiar with this game, but it's a goofy game where you put some plants in your garden and they fight off zombies who are trying to break into your house. And one of the plants you have in the game is called potato wine. And when you plant this potato wine and a zombie walks to it and the wine explodes and destroys the zombie, the word "spudao" appears on screen. It's kind of like what you in some other games or comics or cartoons you would see the word "boom" or something like that appear, but here was the word "spudao." And this guy, Danebo, when he was playing this game, and whenever this potato wine would explode, he would yell, "Spudao!" And yeah, and everyone who was watching him play Plants vs Zombies, we would always laugh when he would do that. It was really funny, and it kind of became a buzzword of mine. But as I don't usually run into situations of potato wines exploding and killing zombies, I started to say that word "spudao" when something gets broken. For example, someone accidentally knocks a glass off the table and it falls and breaks, and I say "spudao." So yeah, that was why I said it when we were watching the movie. But yeah, it wasn't in that particular scene that we
Okay.
have been discussing.
So what did you say when you saw that William Peterson's character was shot?
Uh, I don't remember exactly, but I was probably like, "Oh, holy shit!" Like I didn't see that coming.
Right. And then they end up with his truck, and then they end up going and finding themselves at a restaurant called Friendly's. So, what did you think about this restaurant?
Well, I think it was pretty funny, and actually, I have to say liked the fact that they were like welcoming everyone, and that everyone who actually entered there really was friendly with each other. No one was trying to cause any trouble.
I agree. Even though that there is even though there is you know uh, uh, I mean, in this day and age, people still have problems with people who like someone or have fallen in love with someone of the same sex or someone of a different color, you know.
Mm.
Um, and in Friendlies, it seemed like it didn't matter what kind of nationality you were, what kind of drugs that you did.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, that's uh, that's one of the reasons why I really like that scene, because it really shows people not being prejudiced against anyone. Everyone accepts everyone. No one is judged. No one is discriminated. That was why I really liked it.
Here too, and it seems like it was a cool moment where Penny and Dodge had pretty decent conversation with each other, where she kind of asked him like what he did before, you know, the end of the world thing, and he's like, well, I was into insurance. She's like, oh, you were serious, you know, and
Yeah.
things of that nature, and evidently, well, Penny does smoke weed in here, so she's kind of an outgoing character, as far as a socially public individual, where she has no problems smoking the green.
Yeah.
Which in this day and age, I guess, because more and more states are allowing marijuana to be more public and not really be against the law or anything like that. And you know, me myself personally, I'm just going to say something on that from a political standpoint. As far as marijuana goes, I really don't care if people smoke it. It's when it's like laced with like different other drugs or anything like that. That's when I'm against it.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yes.
And nobody's ever really done anything wrong when they've gotten high. I mean, most of them just sit together in a room smoking up, and they're all like buzzed and shit like that. You know, they're just staying in one place half the time. It's when people are on like speed or acid or LSD or anything like that, is when people tend to go wild and crazy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, personally, I don't smoke either cigarettes or marijuana or anything, and I must admit I don't really follow much what goes on about it. But from what I did hear, I think even from what I heard, I think even scientists say that marijuana is less harmful for health than cigarettes, and yet cigarettes are legal and marijuana is illegal. So
Yep.
that doesn't seem to make sense.
And I know the only one of the things that many people have said is the only reason why marijuana isn't legal is because well, at the time, the government couldn't figure out a way to tax it.
Well,
So,
that would explain it.
and now in states like Denver and California, those states actually have legal marijuana. So, not every state has gotten to that conclusion yet, but times are changing, man. It depends on. I mean, I guarantee you, if the president of the United States legalized marijuana, I bet you a lot of people would be happy. Now, I'm going to be honest. I experimented in my day, and I was never caught doing what I was doing while I was doing it. So that's the thing. You can, I believe that everyone should at least experiment at least once, and if you have not, then I guess you're kind of a prick. But
Well,
I'm not saying that
I
you are or anything. I'm fine with who you are. You're on your own level of crazy, my friend. So
thank you. Well,
look at you with the Baphomet statue and the Baphomet stuffed animal that you got over there.
yeah, it's not right here at hand.
Your collection of cult items, my friend.
Oh,
You
yeah,
would
actually.
probably be burned at the stake back in the 1600s.
Yeah, I probably would. I mean, if some people saw some of my collectibles, well, I originally got them with the idea of displaying them for Halloween, but I ended up liking them too much, and they are in my room. I'm not sure. I think they can't be seen on the webcam right now, but yeah, basically, what got me into that kind of stuff are some movies and TV shows and music that I grew fond of. So yeah, I ended up liking this dark fantasy horror aesthetics. Oh, yeah, I have a replica of a skull here. If you
Is that the last person you murdered?
no, fortunately.
I won't say a thing. But anyways, let's get back to the movie. So uh, about okay, so we just ended up at Friendly's, and that they had to leave after some of the waitresses were trying to give blowjobs to our friend Dodge there, and they get back in the vehicle, and they end up being pulled over by a cop. Which noticed that a tail light it was gone. They don't have any identification, and he's just so high up on the rules. What did you think about that character?
Well, actually, I think he was rather dumb. I mean, if he knows it's the end of the world, why bother punishing someone for something like that when everyone is going to be dead in less than 2 or 3 weeks?
Right. 2 days later, the world's going to end, buddy. Who who are they exactly gonna be arraigned in front of? The judge that's probably gonna be dead in like an hour, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
who wants to be on Judge Judy on the day the world ends?
yeah.
But and that's the thing. I think in this day and age, if the world was going to end, like today in like 8 hours or whatnot, yeah, there are going to be cops that are going to be dicks. That are gonna read you your rights, put you in a padded cell, and not give a fuck about you while you're out on the road or something like that. That's how I feel that the factions of governments would be. The world would just keep going.
Yeah.
At least in some parts of the world. I mean, okay, so the world is going to end in like 20 minutes. The cop down the road from you is still going to pull you over if you speed over 80. You know,
Possibly.
so, but in any case, so they end up spending the night. Evidently, there's an Asian kid spending the night with them that had this "the end is near" sign on him, and evidently he's only in there because he was disturbing the peace. Well, the fuck, he was probably just trying to tell people that the end of the world is coming. You know, to me that's peaceful enough.
Well, yeah.
What do you think about that whole scenario with them sitting in the jail and stuff like that? What did that situation mean to you?
Well, I think it was I think it was rather a bummer that they had to spend so much time in that cell when the world is ending, all because that one cop had to do what he did. But yeah, there was some interesting conversation between Dodge and Penny there. Uh,
Oh yeah. I mean, she thought that she was ruining his life, and he kind of calmed her down, and they kind of got to know each other a little bit more. And after they were dropped off at um, we meet Penny's ex-boyfriend. What do you think about her ex?
well, he was another guy getting his hopes up with her. Poor guy.
Well,
But
but did you see how loaded they were in that fucking basement of that house?
oh, well, yeah.
He was in every epitome what you would consider a survivalist would do. They would find themselves a bunker somewhere they would um, put all kinds of food, stock it with weapons. You know, there's a toilet down there. There's TV, recreation, food to last at least 6 months. You know, I mean,
Well,
that would be fucking cool.
well, yeah, actually, who knows? Maybe there could have been a sequel where we see what happened with those guys after the apocalypse.
Yeah, who knows? Down the road, but this has already been what is it?
8 years.
No, is it
I
8 years?
think the movie was made in
Yeah,
2012, if I
this
remember
is
correctly.
already this has already been 8 years. So it was actually made 8 years ago. So um, I wonder if it was in because it was similar to like Armageddon type of thing. You know, have you ever seen the movie Armageddon?
I think I haven't seen that one, but maybe I should.
It's a pretty good, a decent one. It was a good movie. And it has Michael Clark Duncan in it, who was in the Green Mile, and
Ooh,
he died rather young.
oh,
Michael Clark Duncan, he was a big man of color. Um,
him. Yeah, yeah, I remember him from
yeah,
the Green Mile.
he was in the remake of Planet of the Apes by what was his name? It was in 2001, 2002, something like that. I think it was 2001. And it was directed by the same guy who did the first two Batman movies. So I don't
Mm.
know. He's on the tip of my brain. Planet of yeah. Let's see. Yep, Tim Burton. Tim
Oh,
Burton
him.
was the director of that film, and I thought that film was actually going to have more sequels to it, but it never did.
Mm,
But
yeah.
in any case, I know that I would love to talk about those films with you someday. Um, the original Planet of the Apes series. We'll have to
Ooh,
go down that road sometime. But
why not?
in any case, so yeah, Penny's ex-boyfriend, I forget his name. Do you
Oh,
remember his name?
you mean the guy with the bunker?
Yeah,
I think the name was Spec, or at
yeah,
least
Spec.
that's how she referred to him. I don't know if it was a name or a nickname.
Yeah, she called him Spec. Spec. Spec was pretty much like this uh, army lieutenant, I think, because evidently him and his platoon were down in that bunker that he made out of his basement. um, and so this was a kind of a cool moment because she was actually able to speak to her parents and over this. He had a really strong phone line connection, and while Dodge was actually looking at her, you could actually see. I think is actually sexy when a woman, when she's talking and shows all that kind of emotion, and when you think she's gonna cry, but she's not gonna cry, when her eyes fill with tears, and then they don't. That kind of thing. I think that's sexy in a female.
Interesting.
But looking at her in profile, you can see how Dodge is starting to fall in love with her. And I think he's starting to realize that momentarily, because after this, they end up borrowing a car from Spec's fleet, which is this tiny little matchbox looking car.
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like an automobile that kind of just was smashed up against the wall, and they said, "Ah, that's our new automobile." That's my idea. Let's give it. Let's send the blueprints up to the boss. See what he thinks. So, but in any case, they get in. They drive, and they find their way to evidently the childhood home of his high school sweetheart Olivia, and they raid the fridge, end up having a small dinner, and they listen to music. And one thing I like about this particular scene is the fact that Penny knows so much about vinyl records. I mean, before she left, she went and raided her a vinyl record a collection and brought up a whole bunch of that shit along. And he produced later on. Dodge produced a record player that he found within the home, and so they ended up listening to some of the music that she had brought along. And I thought the scene was actually kind of romantic. She kind of looked kind of cute in the kitchen, and although I hate to say this, I think she's a little bit too flat chested for my tastes. I like a little bit more crap. So, but.
Then you should watch more Joe Sherlock movies.
Right?
Yeah, especially the newer ones.
Oh yeah, but in any case, yeah, I think in that moment is when he's kind of looking at her across the way, and it's kind of a romantic setting. And I think that's when she's starting to realize, that she likes being around him, because she was hesitant about giving him the letter that was in the kitchen. She found an actual address of where Olivia might have moved to after, or after she married and all that jazz. And they end up going to that particular address upon the morning. What do you think about that whole thing about him driving away and going to the beach and ending up just enjoying like the evening on the beach with each other, and that whole fact that he just wrote Olivia a letter. What do you think about that?
Well, I could actually say a lot about that. The first time I saw that scene, I was a bit disappointed because until then, the movie had us anticipate his meeting with Olivia, and then it ends like this, which was something I found disappointing at first. But the second time I watched it, I liked that scene much better because when I was analyzing the characters in my mind, it in that scene, Dodge shows us what we should really do with someone we want to end our friendship or relationship with. So, unlike his wife Linda at the beginning, who just ran out and never spoke to him again, he actually wrote a letter to Olivia and explained things to her, which is something I personally think it's very important because what many people don't seem to realize is that uh, if you abruptly end your contact with someone and that person doesn't even know why you did it, it can be much more traumatizing and emotionally damaging than one normally thinks. Because in that case, if the person is left wondering, what did I do wrong? Why did this person decide to do that to me? It can actually haunt them for many years, and they can end up having anxiety about other people possibly doing the same thing to them, because they can be like, if that person abandoned me and I don't know why, how can I know that someone else won't do the same thing to me for this same unknown reason? So
Mm.
yeah, if you
Well, and I think this is also a movie that can kind of show you like like a world where it's going to die. You know, the world is going to end. It's going to go kaput. It's it's just not going to be anymore. And you can see that with the world around them. Some of them are just enjoying life, and some of them are not able to function properly and think about it all too greatly, because they're stuck in this mindset that oh, things just don't mean anything anymore. More. Why do the philosophy, what life means to some people? Some people can can be like, oh, let's just enjoy life while we have it, or some people can be like, now what will I do? I don't know what to do with my life. My life has no meaning. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, even in our world, which is probably not ending anytime soon, hopefully. Uh,
But
uh,
you were thinking that it would have something to do with Olivia, when in fact I think it's more about, this film is more about Dodge um, coming to a realization about the things that have gone wrong with his life and writing them before the end of the world hits. Uh,
yeah,
um, and it's more about the journey to get to a world of sane and complete peace with your life. I mean, he, I mean, obviously he didn't know his wife was cheating on him, so he found that out through Penny. Um,
yeah,
uh,
and
Olivia, he just came to a realization that maybe it wasn't about the love lost, maybe about maybe it's more about the love that's sitting in front of him, and enjoying life as it is, instead of looking to pick up the something that he left in the past. So that's why he wrote the letter, possibly, so that he would feel better about himself for you know tying up loose ends,
uh,
and in
yeah,
his mind at least, because
yeah, and
I think he came to a realization that he did not need her anymore. He did not. He did not. He was. He was not in love. He was not in love with her, but he loved her.
that makes sense, yeah. But the point I was trying to make is that he was honest with Olivia about what happened. I mean, she wrote him a letter. He didn't respond because he never received it, and she was maybe left wondering, what did I do wrong? Why did he never answer me? But then he wrote this letter and probably explained everything, which is what I think everyone should do when they are ending their either romantic relationship or friendship with someone, uh, because if someone is losing a person they care about, they always deserve to know why, because otherwise it can be even more traumatizing.
Well, if you had to leave this earth at any given point in time because the world was ending, wouldn't you want to leave it without any unfinished business?
Definitely.
I mean, if there was a girl that you had a crush on and she didn't know that you had one, I guarantee you would probably want to go and profess your love before the end of the world happened.
Definitely.
So, in any case, so after that, he drove her to his father's place, and they had not seen each other in 25 years. What did you think about this whole scenario where he met with his father? Did you think it was going to be some explosive moment, or what?
Well, actually, no, because at the beginning, when the father appeared, we didn't immediately even know that he was the father. But then it was revealed. But yeah, not really. I didn't expect it would be anything full of tension. I actually expected a reconciliation scene, which we got in the end.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Um, it- you never know what to think when people don't speak to each other, and it's kind of sad that some people don't. I mean, I know that my fiance, her grandmother, mother, and her uncle. That well, um, here's kind of what happened. Her her stepfather Jerry and her mother Linda ended up dying a month apart from each other, and I remember her grandmother being there grabbing all kinds of things from the place with permission from Tammy to take to some of the family members. But something happened on Facebook, and this was right when um, right when she was just beginning to be on Facebook. Her grandmother claimed she saw something on Facebook about um, something, and she got irate and mad and accusatory, and uh, she downright basically uh, ended the relationship right there because it was just more heartache than anything else. So I don't think she saw. I think she got a birth. She stopped giving her birthday cards and whatnot, and now they haven't spoken for 8 years now. So
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
uh, it sounds like their family was all kinds of fucked up to begin with. So, but that's neither here nor there. Some families just change over time, and you just kind of have to accept it. I mean, I I remember when her stepfather died, and I remember holding her mother when he died, and then I also remembered holding her hand when her mother died. So I remember these things, and you
Oh,
know, I think it was more, better to know them than to not know them. And I guess the reason why I mentioned some of this is sometimes there are films that have to do with death,
yeah, especially
and
this one.
oh well, yeah. Um, um, Dodge ends up putting her in his father's airplane and trying to get her to go see her family. The only thing is, you know, once Dodge got back, she couldn't realize a life without him in it, and they just wanted to spend the rest of whatever time they had left with each other in each other's arms and in each other's eyes. And when that moment comes, you don't expect it. And I think the first time that's a good thing because it's kind of like a wow, what the fuck they did go there kind of a moment.
Mm,
And it's like
yeah,
not everyone has a happy ending, although technically, I guess in a way, they were they were both prepared for the end of the world because they were already happy in each other's arms. So when they went, if they went, I hope that they went to a better place. If if this kind of thing happens anytime in the future to anyone.
yeah. Like I
So
said earlier, I was really shocked by how it ended.
yeah, I was shocked too when it was and I think that's why I liked it. Um, Partially because I mean it told a possible truth. I mean, how do we know that the end of the world won't happen that way? And uh, to be honest, some people would react some of those ways.
Well,
I mean,
probably.
I mean, it's never certain when you're going to die. I mean, we know it's going to happen. We're just never in the know when we are, and it's hard to talk about death for some people because you don't want to think about the world without you or
Um,
your family members without you. You know,
Indeed.
I mean, as far as parents are concerned, they don't really want to be the ones left in this world and you gone from it. As far as parents are concerned, children are concerned, we don't want to see our parents die before they've had a full life. And some people die.
Definitely.
Some people die so young.
Oh, indeed.
But what are your thoughts on death?
Oh, well, that's a very philosophical topic. I
Has anyone died in your family?
Well, yes and no. I mean, my grandparents on the father's side, they died, but they died long before even I was born. So I never met them. So I didn't feel that much of a loss because I never knew them in the first place. But aside of them, no, fortunately. Fortunately, so far, I haven't had the experience of a person I deeply care about dying. It,
So your mother's parents are still alive.
yes, yes.
On my father's side, my grandfather died of colon cancer, and by the time he had died, uh, um, he looked like Gollum. very much, and he lost the will to live, unfortunately.
Oh,
Um,
I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
he was the one I guess I was closest to so far. Well, one of them. I know he taught me how to fish when I was a kid. Um, I think I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and he took us out to Lake Arrowhead, which is a lake in maybe northeastern Wisconsin, and uh, we had bamboo poles at the time. There was no reel to rod at the moment. He had tied a worm onto one and was putting my fishing pole together when I noticed his fishing pole was bobbing up and down while I um, grabbed a hold of the rod, and it almost pulled me under because what had gotten on the fish was a northern pike.
Ugh.
Uh, and what it was this big ass fish, and I was like 6 or 7 years old. So pulling it out of the water was kind of a big thing for a 6 or 7 year old. But I always remember the hunting trips that we went on. My dad and I did, and my grandfather and my uncle, and maybe a couple of my cousins. We all went hunting with each other, the males of our species, and we went bow and arrow hunting. It was not gun. Although my uncle he did a more gun season. But I know I never shot anything. We would walk we would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we would all walk out maybe about 4 or 5 miles out on County C. And we'd walk quite a ways to get to a point where we would all separate and then go off to our different hunting spots. And I know I was going through a lot because I was heavily medicated with
Oh,
behavioral medication, and you would often find me asleep by midday. So one time, my cousin and my uncle came, but evidently they were walking by, and my uncle said, "Hey, there's your cousin," and my cousin's like, "Where?" And he's like, "There, on the ground."
oh my.
I was dead asleep, and I woke up and they were staring at me. But we'd get back about midday, and we'd all have soup and sandwiches, and then at the end of the weekend we would have we would all sit around each other and have what we called worms. He had this old camp grill, and it boiled well, you could cook meat on it, and you could put a pot on it and make mashed potatoes, and then you mix ground beef with onions, and you put that on top of the mashed potatoes, and that's what we called worms.
Oh, well, it sounds pretty good.
It was a good snack thing. At the end of the day, we'd have like Doritos or chips or something like that along with it. And it was a meal that I will always remember because my grandfather always made it. So, but I will always remember him for those particular reasons. And I remember going out on Lake Arrowhead and being able to walk on the water during the winter, and so on and so forth. And I remember a lot of a lot of outdoorsy type things doing with my grandfather, and I know my grandmother on my mother's mother. She used to live with us downstairs in a duplex on the north side of Milwaukee, and then she as well moved with us to Oak Creek, in Wisconsin, and she lived side by side with my parents up until a certain point where my parents and everyone else in the family has their own life. So we had to put her in a home, and she had early dementia and Alzheimer's, and eventually she died. So ultimately, I remember being able to go downstairs and talk with her about all kinds of things, God, um, being able to talk with her like a friend instead of a grandmother, and things of that nature. So I guess her name was Grace, and my grandfather's name was Richard, or some people called him Dick. But it wasn't that he was a dick, but I guess that's a nickname for people called Richard. And my father's name is Richard. So, but I guess if you had to say anything, my other grandfather, Grandpa Oswald, he died of diabetes. Eventually, he lost his leg and his arm, and eventually he died of it. And I remember him owning his own bar on the north side. It was near what we call Little Mexico, which is a part of Milwaukee which is littered with Mexican restaurants and people who are of Mexican descent. And it was an old mom and pop's kind of a bar where he lived like upstairs from it or downstairs from it. And I remember him giving my first radio. He gave me my first radio that I remember that I would take it around and listen to it. I would get lost listening to the radio. And he gave me my first train whistle. He would stop by like rummage sales on a whim, and I guess in a way he bought little things here and there, and he was kind of a pack rat. So by the time he died, he ended up having a bunch of things, and then of course he evidently owned several guns, which caused some chaos in my family. But in any case,
I'm really sorry to hear you had so many losses.
Oh, yeah, I'm just reminiscing. Don't mind me. But in any case, it's better to remember those that you've lost and those that you've loved. And I think I remember all of them for that. So I have one grandmother still left, but her health is starting to you can tell that her mind is starting to go. But we'll see what happens within the next couple of years. I know that my father's side of the family hasn't quite accepted that she's starting to go that way. So, but in any case, it is what it is. She'll have lived her life to her fullest, and I think that she has lived a life. So when she goes, I will miss her, and I'll remember my grandmother for whenever we went to a place that used to be called Cats. It was a bar / restaurant, and it was kind of near where their place was, because they used to have a camper up on Lake Arrowhead, and then they built a house. And this was the place that we would go like the first night of hunting. It was a place called Cats because the lady had who owned the bar had a ton of cats, but and she had a ton of pictures of cats inside the bar. and it was a unique place because they had a really cool fish fry, and you could get like 5 or 6 pieces of fish, and it really filled you. But then I think the place closed down and whatnot. And I think another thing I remember going up to Lake Arrowhead for was this place called Pretzels, and it was just a small little ass convenience store. And then by the time we had to get rid of that house up there. That little pretzel store was this big, gigantic, like superstore. It was like the only convenience store around for like miles, and it became like this super Walmart kind of a thing. And the thing that I always remembered is my sister and I always got beef sticks from there. But in any case, that's enough reminiscing. What did you think about? What did you think about the film as a whole? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did. I have to say I was a bit disappointed by the ending, but the movie as a whole is really good. It's very well written, very well made, and everything. I just personally, I would normally choose to go for a movie with a happier ending, unless I'm watching a horror movie or something like that. But yeah, I normally prefer happier movies, but yeah, that definitely doesn't mean this one wasn't good because it's really well written. Like I said, especially if you see it more than once, then you will pay attention to more details that really make it what it is.
I thought it was a strange movie. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was well acted. There were moments of, sadness that I saw, and I was not not disappointed with the ending. I'm glad that it had that moment because it was after seeing it the first time and seeing it like 3 times now. I would say that I almost prefer this ending because I think it was really sweet. I think that if you knew the world was going to end, wouldn't you rather spend it with the one that you love, at least up until those last dying moments?
Yeah, definitely.
And so would I. And I think they were really cute and romantic together. And I think at the end there, he made her feel safe, and he made her feel like things were going to be okay, um,
Yeah.
at least until the final moment. I mean, you don't know what happened. All you saw was a flash of light. You didn't see no explosion or anything. For all intents and purposes, they could have survived, and the world could lived on for another day or so. You never know.
Well, that's an interesting point. Yeah, like I said earlier, when I was watching it for the first time, I actually waited for the credits to roll out. I hoped there would be an extra scene after the credits where we maybe find out that they are alive after all, which would be an ending that I would personally prefer. But yeah, I do see your point.
Oh yeah. Alrighty. So, favorite moments. What was one of your favorite moments in this film?
Well, I guess one of the favorite moments would be the restaurant, which we mentioned, where everyone was nice and friendly with each other. By the end of it, even more than expected.
Well, you almost wanted to get up in that conga line, didn't you? But in any case, and the fact that she told them it was his birthday, so then they all came around him and
Yeah.
made out with him, and it just seemed like a really friendly place. No matter, I expected that dude to go and kiss him himself for a moment there, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I like the friendliest place too, because when they brought the dog in, they're like, "Is this okay?" He's like, "Oh yeah, sure." Guess what? Last week someone brought in a wolf, and that was something.
I liked the scenes with the dog. It was pretty cute.
Well, let's put you over here by the booth. All the chairs and shit. We burned in a big ass burning pile. But in any case, I guess one of my favorite scenes in this was, I guess, when I think the ending scene. The ending scene where where they were in bed, and she was like, why did you send me off?" You know, and he was like, "Well, you you wanted to get back to see your family so much," and she was like, "Well, I got all the way there, and then I couldn't think of being here in this world without you," and shit of that nature. And she's like, "Well, what should we talk about?" "Well, how about you tell me where you were born, where you were raised?" And go ahead.
Oh, oh, I was going to say, yeah, that scene is actually even more impacting. Well, to me personally, it was even more impacting the second time I saw it because the first time I was still expecting something to change. Like, I thought the world would be saved after all, and it wouldn't end that way. But the second time, when I did know it would be unending like that, it had a completely different atmosphere to me.
Oh yeah, it definitely had a different atmosphere, and it makes you think about it. You know, like if, what if the world were to end? How would we react to it? You know. So, in any case, let's see. The music was interesting too. Oh,
Oh
I,
yeah, there were.
I think we already mentioned the fact that dude was from that one dude that was at the party. He was the Eharmony dude in the Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I,
Yeah,
I, I think that that moment was kind of that whole scenario where the husband and wife duo that were at the table. I gotta say the fact when they were explaining what they would do before the end of the world hit, and they were like, "Well, she is going to go to. We're going to go visit her father-in-law and tell him to go fuck himself."
oh yeah, oh yeah. I almost forgot that.
That was a favorite moment. But um, thing I liked about this film was the soundtrack to the music.
Yeah,
Not just the score, but the music to this. Um, I mean, we've got "The Air That I Breathe" by the Hollies. We've got "Wouldn't It Be Nice" by the Beach Boys. We've got
yeah, I
"Cherry
recognize
Tree"
that
by
one.
Steve Sidewell. We've got "Bopology" by Ray Davies. "Devil Inside" by performed by In Excess. Um, "Dance Hall Days" by Wang Chung. "Home to Sacramento" performed by the Steam Machine. "Cinco de High Hop" Cinco de High Hop, performed by Francisco Santa Cruz. Ooh, performed by Scissor Sisters. New Day, performed by Hello Moon. Pastel Lights, performed by Ishi. Everybody Have Fun Tonight by Wang Chung. Sex Tourists by French Kicks. On My Radio by The Selector. My Time to Shine by Guilty Simpson. Set Adrift on Memory of Bliss, performed by PM Dawn. In the Time of My Ruin, performed by Frank Black. Let's Go Out Tonight, performed by Lions. Cavalier, courtesy of Five Alarm Music. Tijuana Ride, performed by Paul Williams. This guy is in love with you, performed by Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore, performed by the Walker Brothers, and Stay With Me Baby by the Walker Brothers. So it was an interesting selection of 70s music as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a lot of songs.
Kind of reminded me of some of the music that you hear in Secret Life of Walter Mitty a little bit, but
Oh, good point.
in any case, I think that's all the time that we have for today, folks. So, unless you have anything else to add, my friend.
Oh, well, I think I've said everything. Uh,
Like to say,
I'm sorry, what
right?
did you say?
You think that you've said everything that you'd have liked to say.
Oh, I think so, yeah. I can't remember if there was anything more.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for listening to our discussion on this film. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Coming
thank you
along the
for
way with us.
listening.
I know we strayed a little bit into some talks about different things, but I think we had a cool discussion on this film. So just use this as a guideline or cliff notes to watching the film, and just go out and see it. I mean, if you're ever thinking like it's going to be the end of the world, think again. It's already happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming along with us on this journey, and hopefully you just enjoy. So
Yeah, thank you.
and next week, I figure we're going to go on about a Joe Sherlock anthology.
Oh, cool.
So stay tuned for that. I think it's a truly dreadful tales. I said.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that exciting stuff. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. And I know I have not watched Truly Dreadful Tales yet, so it'll be interesting to see my first views on it. So,
Oh, nice. I saw it quite some time ago, so I will definitely have to see it again.
in any case, thank you and good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night.